The howling solar winds slammed against the reinforced observation deck of Meridian Research Station, sending tremors through its titanium-carbon composite walls. Jayun Park wasn't just any researcher. She was a third-generation space exploration specialist with nerves of steel and eyes that had witnessed more galactic mysteries than most humans would see in 10 lifetimes. Her current assignment seemed mundane, monitoring electromagnetic fluctuations on this remote planetary outpost. Most days involved endless data streams, occasional meteor tracking, and consuming ridiculous amounts of instant coffee. Today felt different. The quantum sensors were dancing wildly, producing patterns she'd never witnessed before. Suddenly, a brilliant streak of silver-blue light fractured the darkness outside. Something was falling, no crashing through the atmosphere. The impact trajectory suggested something significantly larger than a standard meteorite. Jayun's training kicked in immediately. Her fingers danced across holographic control panels, activating emergency tracking protocols. The object wasn't metallic, it wasn't rocky. It was organic? Her enhanced bioscanner struggled to categorize the incoming entity. Crystalline structures, pulsating energy signatures, biological components that defied standard classification. This was no ordinary spacecraft or natural phenomenon. Control, this is Research Lead Park. Unidentified organic entity entering atmospheric zone. Preparing containment protocols. She spoke calmly into her communication system, her voice steady despite the extraordinary circumstances. The object, now clearly identifiable as some form of living vessel, spiraled violently, leaving behind a trail of iridescent energy that seemed to breathe and pulse with its own consciousness. Its descent was not a crash, but something more deliberate. Like a wounded creature choosing its final landing spot with remarkable precision. Jayun's research habitat was positioned on a strategic plateau surrounded by rocky terrain that could potentially absorb massive impact forces. As the crystalline entity approached, she noticed intricate patterns flowing across its surface, almost like living circuits or neural networks. Warning sirens erupted across the station. Emergency shields activated automatically, creating a protective electromagnetic bubble, but Jayun was already moving. Her specialized environmental suit, a marvel of human engineering, was designed for extreme planetary conditions and potential biological encounters. The impact was surprisingly gentle. Instead of an explosion, the entity seemed to dissolve and reform, settling onto the rocky terrain like liquid mercury taking shape. Steam and strange luminescent particles surrounded its landing zone. Through her helmet's advanced visual filters, Jayun could see something emerging from the crystalline structure. A being, wounded, but incredibly alive. Her first thought wasn't scientific detachment. It was compassion. The alien, a female form with skin that seemed to shift between solid and liquid states, was breathing in short, musical pulses. Fracture lines ran across her body, like delicate spiderweb cracks in living glass. Her eyes, when they focused on Jayun, contained entire galaxies of knowledge and pain. "Shelter," the being whispered, her voice a combination of sound and telepathic transmission. "Tempest coming." Jayun understood instantly. This wasn't just a random encounter. This was a deliberate arrival, a calculated risk taken by an intelligent being seeking sanctuary. Her hand instinctively reached for the emergency medical kit attached to her suit. Standard xenobiological first response training was about to be tested in ways no simulation could prepare her for. The alien's crystalline body was losing structural integrity. Each breath seemed a battle against some unseen force. Whatever journey she had undertaken, whatever pursuit had driven her to this remote research station, was taking a devastating toll. Outside, the planetary atmosphere began to shift. Electromagnetic clouds gathered, promising a storm of unprecedented magnitude. The research station's sensors were going wild, predicting total communication blackout within hours. Jayun made her decision in a heartbeat. This wasn't just a scientific discovery. This was a moment of profound humanitarian significance. "I'm going to help you," she said, her voice calm and clear. "Whatever you need." The alien's fractured form seemed to relax slightly, a wave of relief, passing through her crystalline structure. First contact wasn't going to be about diplomacy or scientific protocol. It was going to be about survival, and Jae-Yun Park was ready. End of Part 1. The medical bay hummed with soft diagnostic lights, casting an ethereal glow on the alien's recovering form. Jae-Yun watched carefully as advanced nano-regenerative patches worked across the crystalline skin, slowly repairing the intricate fracture lines. The alien, who introduced herself as Hana, wasn't just healing. She was transforming the medical equipment around her. Quantum-level sensors began recalibrating themselves. Medical computers started displaying complex data patterns that seemed to dance with living intelligence. "Your technology," Hana spoke, her voice a melodic whisper that seemed to vibrate through the room's molecular structure, "is primitive, but adaptable." Jae-Yun raised an eyebrow. Most researchers would be offended, but she recognized this as a potential communication strategy. "Primitive, yet effective," she responded with a slight smile. The station's external sensors were screaming warnings. The electromagnetic tempest was building, a planetary event that could destroy everything within hundreds of kilometers. Conventional shelters would be obliterated within minutes. Hana's crystalline fingers traced invisible patterns in the air. Holographic data streams erupted around her, showing complex meteorological projections that made Jae-Yun's scientific models look like child's drawings. "I offer a trade," Hana suddenly announced. Her body shifted, becoming partially translucent, revealing intricate internal energy networks that pulsed with extraordinary complexity. "My survival knowledge, my quantum communication abilities, my complete genetic database, in exchange for shelter during the Tempest." It wasn't a request. It was a calculated proposition. The alien's civilization operated on strict transactional principles. Every interaction was an exchange of value, every relationship a carefully negotiated contract. Survival wasn't just a biological imperative, it was an economic calculation. Jae-Yun understood immediately. This wasn't just about physical protection. This was a potential goldmine of scientific knowledge. One solar cycle of shelter could provide humanity with technological insights that would advance their space exploration by decades. "You realize," Jae-Yun said carefully, "that humans don't typically trade shelter for information. We help because it's the right thing to do." Hana's response was a complex holographic laugh, literally projecting emotional resonance through light patterns. "Fascinating. Your species operates on emotional economics, inefficient, unpredictable, yet intriguing." The Tempest was approaching faster now. External cameras showed massive electromagnetic clouds consuming the horizon. Lightning-like energy tendrils stretched across the sky, promising total destruction. Their negotiation wasn't just about survival. It was a collision of two completely different civilization models, transactional versus compassionate. Jae-Yun activated the station's advanced shielding systems. Quantum-reinforced energy barriers began rising, creating a protective dome that would resist the incoming planetary chaos. Hana's presence seemed to amplify these systems, her internal energy networks connecting with the station's technological infrastructure. "The trade is acceptable," Hana declared, extending a crystalline hand that momentarily transformed into a complex data transfer interface. "My knowledge, your shelter." As the first massive electromagnetic wave crashed against the station's shields, Jae-Yun realized this was more than a simple survival scenario. This was first contact. This was the beginning of something unprecedented. The Tempest roared outside. But inside the research station, two intelligent beings from completely different evolutionary paths were creating something extraordinary, a bridge between civilizations, forged in the crucible of survival. Humanity's first true interstellar negotiation had just begun. End of Part 2. Would you like me to continue with the next part of the story, with the same level of detail and engagement? The research station trembled like a living organism, its technological skeleton testing the limits of human engineering against nature's most brutal assault. Outside, the electromagnetic tempest transformed the landscape into a nightmarish canvas of destructive energy. Jae-Yun and Hana worked with synchronized intensity, their hands dancing across holographic interfaces that seemed to breathe and pulse with living intelligence. What had started as a survival partnership was rapidly evolving into something far more complex. "Your shield harmonics are fundamentally flawed," Hana observed, her crystalline fingers restructuring complex energy matrices. Quantum algorithms began reshaping the station's defensive systems, adding layers of protection that defied human technological understanding. Massive energy discharges slammed against the station's exterior. Normal equipment would have been vaporized instantly, but their hybrid defense system absorbed and redirected catastrophic power levels. Each impact became a learning moment. Each surge of planetary fury transformed into valuable data. Jae-yoon's engineering background kicked into overdrive. She wasn't just responding, she was actively collaborating, anticipating Hana's quantum logic patterns and introducing human adaptive strategies. Their communication transcended language, becoming a rapid exchange of survival techniques. Cooling. Systems began to strain. The station's primary reactor showed signs of potential overload. In any other scenario, this would mean certain destruction. But Hana's internal energy networks started supporting the reactor's quantum stabilization, creating a symbiotic technological relationship. "Fascinating," Hana murmured, her body partially translucent as she interfaced directly with the station's core systems. "Your species creates technology like an artist creates paintings, imperfect, emotional, unpredictable." A massive electromagnetic pulse approached, the kind that could strip away entire planetary atmospheres. Normal shielding would collapse in milliseconds, but their collaborative system didn't just resist, it transformed the incoming energy, breaking it down into complex mathematical patterns. Jae-yoon realized they were doing more than surviving. They were learning from each other at a fundamental technological level. Her human intuition, combined with Hana's quantum computational abilities, created something entirely new, a hybrid survival strategy that defied traditional scientific understanding. Robotic maintenance units began moving with unprecedented efficiency. Standard programming gave way to adaptive learning algorithms that seemed to anticipate potential system failures before they could occur. It was as if the entire research station had become a living, breathing organism. External sensors showed the planetary surface being reshaped. Massive rock formations were being atomized and reconstructed by the Tempest's incredible energy. What would have been total destruction became a complex dance of molecular reconstruction. "Your technology feels," Hana said, a hint of surprise in her voice. "Most computational systems I've encountered are cold, calculating. Yours breathes." Jae-yoon smiled. Human technology had always been about more than pure efficiency. It carried the mark of its creators, emotional, passionate, driven by something beyond pure logic. The station's core temperature stabilized. Defensive shields not only held, but began actively learning from the Tempest's energy patterns. What should have been a moment of total destruction became a breakthrough in technological adaptation. Hours passed. The Tempest continued its relentless assault. But inside the research station, two beings from completely different evolutionary paths had created something miraculous. A perfect synthesis of human creativity and alien computational precision. Survival was no longer just about enduring. It had become an act of creation. As the electromagnetic clouds continued their planetary dance, Jae-yoon and Hana remained locked in their collaborative trance. Every moment was a calculation. Every second was a potential breakthrough. The research station stood, a testament to the power of unexpected collaboration. End of Part 3. The Tempest's fury began to subside, revealing a landscape transformed beyond recognition. Inside the research station, Hana's crystalline form flickered with an intensity that suggested deeper, more complex narratives waiting to be unveiled. Jae-yoon noticed subtle changes in Hana's energy signature. The alien's quantum patterns carried encrypted memories, fragments of a story far more dangerous than a simple planetary escape. Her scanning equipment picked up residual quantum entanglement signals that suggested a pursuit far more complex than a random journey. "For you didn't just crash here by accident," Jae-yoon stated, her voice a mix of scientific curiosity and intuitive understanding. Something was chasing you. Hana's crystalline surface rippled, a visual representation of emotional turbulence. Holographic memory fragments began projecting around her, revealing glimpses of a civilization locked in a technological Cold War. Quantum communication networks, weaponized data streams, entire planetary systems manipulated through sophisticated information warfare. Hana wasn't just a refugee, she was a carrier of potentially civilization-ending information. Her home world operated under a totalitarian regime that viewed quantum communication abilities as the ultimate strategic weapon. Biological entities like Hana were not individuals. They were living data repositories designed to carry and transmit complex informational networks. My civilization considers biological entities as computational vessels, Hana explained, her voice carrying a strange mixture of resignation and defiance. I was scheduled for complete data extraction and systemic reprogramming. Escape was my only option. The research station's computational systems began processing her revelations. Encrypted data streams suggested a network of resistance movements, fighting against a centralized technological regime that treated individual consciousness as a programmable resource. Jae-yun understood immediately. This wasn't just about personal survival. This was about preventing a potential interstellar conflict that could consume multiple civilizations. Her human intuition, combined with years of xenobiological research, recognized the broader implications. Hana represented more than just a scientific discovery. She was a potential diplomatic bridge between entirely different conceptual frameworks of existence. Robotic maintenance units moved with increased precision, as if sensing the complexity of the unfolding narrative. Quantum sensors began mapping the encrypted memory fragments, revealing a tapestry of resistance, technological suppression, and individual rebellion. They will come looking, Hana warned, her crystalline form becoming momentarily transparent. My extraction would reset entire computational networks across 3 star systems. The implications were staggering. A single biological entity carried enough informational potential to destabilize entire technological infrastructures. Hana wasn't just running. She was a living revolution. Jae-yun's mind raced with potential scenarios. Diplomatic intervention, scientific research, potential technological exchange that could revolutionize human understanding of quantum communication. Outside, the planetary landscape continued its slow reconstruction. Massive rock formations reshaped themselves, reflecting the intricate dance of geological and electromagnetic forces. It was a perfect metaphor for the transformation happening inside the research station. "We need a plan," Jae-yun said, her voice calm but carrying an underlying current of determination. "A way to protect you and potentially prevent a larger conflict." Hana's response was a complex quantum pulse, part agreement, part strategic calculation. Their collaboration had transformed from a simple survival scenario into something far more significant, a potential first step in preventing an interstellar technological war. The research station hummed with potential. 2 beings from completely different evolutionary paths, united by a moment of unexpected connection, preparing to face a challenge that would reshape their understanding of existence. Survival was no longer just about individual preservation. It had become an act of potential cosmic significance. End of Part 4. The first signals appeared like whispers on the quantum communication network, distant, almost imperceptible. Massive spacecraft emerged from the planetary shadow, their designs unlike anything human technology had ever encountered. Sleek organic vessels that seemed to breathe with living intelligence, their surfaces shifting like liquid metal against the stark backdrop of space. Jae-yun's hands moved with practiced precision across the holographic interfaces. Years of training had prepared her for potential first contact scenarios, but nothing could truly prepare someone for this moment. Hana's crystalline form began to pulse with an intensity that suggested both anticipation and profound vulnerability. "They have found me," she whispered, her voice a complex harmonic that seemed to vibrate through the station's molecular structure. But these weren't pursuit vessels. Their approach was calculated, deliberate, a diplomatic formation that suggested Something far more complex than a simple retrieval mission. Quantum communication arrays erupted with complex data streams. What should have been an incomprehensible alien language became, through Hana's extraordinary abilities, a readable narrative. Not a threat, not an invasion, but a diplomatic mission. The alien vessels began broadcasting a communication pattern that defied traditional understanding. It wasn't just a message, it was a multidimensional negotiation, a quantum-level dialogue that explored potential outcomes simultaneously. Jae-eun watched in awe as the station's systems began interpreting these complex signals. Robotic interfaces recalibrated, computational networks expanded, creating a bridge between two entirely different technological civilizations. "They've come to negotiate," Hana explained, her body now partially translucent. "Not to capture, not to destroy, to understand." The first official communication was breathtaking. The alien civilization recognized Hana not as a computational asset to be retrieved, but as an individual with autonomous decision-making capabilities. Her escape had triggered a fundamental philosophical revolution within their entire societal structure. Massive holographic projections filled the research station's primary chamber. Star maps, computational networks, complex biological data streams, a complete transmission of potential collaborative frameworks between their civilizations. Jae-eun realized this was more than a first contact scenario. This was a transformative moment that would reshape humanity's understanding of intelligent life. The alien vessels began demonstrating extraordinary technological capabilities, quantum communication networks that could transmit entire planetary histories in milliseconds, biological computational systems that blurred the line between living organism and technological infrastructure. "Your species intrigues them," Hana translated, her voice carrying multiple emotional undertones. "A civilization that values individual experience over pure computational efficiency." Diplomatic protocols dissolved. What emerged was something far more profound, a genuine attempt at mutual understanding. The research station became the unexpected epicenter of humanity's most significant interstellar diplomatic moment. Not through military might, not through technological superiority, but through a simple act of compassion, Jae-eun's decision to shelter Hana had transformed from a moment of individual survival to a potential turning point in human-alien relations. Quantum data streams continued their complex dance. The alien vessels maintained a respectful distance, their approach suggesting a fundamental recognition of the research station's sovereign status. They weren't invading, they were requesting dialogue. "They want to learn," Hana explained, her crystalline form now fully integrated with the station's computational systems. "About humanity, about individual experience, about the concept of compassion as a strategic framework." Hours passed. The communication continued, a multidimensional dialogue that explored potential collaborative futures, scientific exchange, technological integration, a genuine attempt to understand each other beyond computational logic. The planetary landscape outside continued its slow reconstruction, a perfect metaphor for the transformative dialogue happening within the research station. Humanity had just taken its first genuine step into a larger, more complex galactic community, not through conquest, not through technological superiority, but through a simple, unexpected moment of compassion. End of Part 5.